การประชุมขอบ 30 ที่บราซิลเปิดฉากด้วยความจริงว่าอุณหภูมิเฉลี่ยโลกพุ่งทะลุ 1.5 องศาเซลเซียสแล้วองค์การอุตุนิยมวิทยาโลกยังเตือนด้วยว่าอาจจะแตะ 2.8 องศาเซลเซียสภายในศตวรรษนี้นี่คือสัญญาณเตือนว่าโลกต้องเร่งเปลี่ยนผ่านจากเชื้อเพลิงฟอสซิลสู่พลังงานสะอาดก่อนที่เราจะเข้าสู่ยุคแห่งภัยพิบัติตั้งแต่ภัยแล้งรุนแรงน้ำท่วมไปจนถึงการสูญเสียความหลากหลายทางชีวภาพอย่างถาวรประเทศไทยเองก็ประกาศเป้าหมายสำคัญที่จะบรรลุ Net Zero ภายในปี 2050 เร็วขึ้นกว่าเดิม 15 ปี ตอนนี้ไทยพร้อมแค่ไหนที่จะฝ่าวิกฤตโลกเดือดและจะหันมาใช้พลังงานสะอาดได้มากแค่ไหนในความเป็นจริง
Today, people say AI consumes 10 times more than just a simple Google search that we used to do before. But that could also be more progressed. It's mandatory to support the digitalization and the AI demand because people want to use it. People will definitely be using much more AI technology month by month, year by year. It's just going to keep on growing. So we do expect that the energy demand will also grow. And there will be investments towards generation assets.
แผนที่พลังงานในระดับโลกกำลังเปลี่ยนไปนะคะคุณผู้ชมด้านหนึ่งก็คือโจทย์ใหญ่เรื่องของสภาพภูมิอากาศเปลี่ยนแปลงที่ต้องมีพลังงานสะอาดพลังงานเพื่อสิ่งแวดล้อมมากยิ่งขึ้นแต่อีกด้านหนึ่งความต้องการใช้ AI สูงขึ้นทั่วโลกซึ่งหมายถึงความต้องการพลังงานที่มากขึ้นตามไปด้วยทั้งสองโจทย์นี้ทั้งโลกจะต้องรับมืออย่างไรและไทยเองจะต้องปรับตัวอย่างไร The World Dialogue วันนี้จะคุยกับผู้เชี่ยวชาญเรื่องพลังงานค่ะซึ่งเป็นประธานและ CEO ของ Mitsubishi Power คุณทาคาโอะซึกุอิค่ะ You must be quite familiar with Thailand and Bangkok. I'm so curious from your expertise perspective, what's your observation of energy transition or electricity relationship with this city?
Sure. First of all, Mitsubishi Power has been engaged in the Thailand energy market for over 6 decades now. So we have been supporting the energy market by supplying our Mitsubishi design turbines to the market.and generation power plants we build in this market. So EGAT has been a big customer for us and many other IPPs also, independent power producers who does generation. So over 20% of the ASEAN economy depends on gas generation and that's where we fully support for customers to be able to build gas generation assets. Energy transition is moving.But it's going to be moving a little bit later than today. So Thailand obviously needs to support the economic growth. You cannot stop economic growth for the purpose of energy transition. It's the other way around. And economic growth happens and then energy transition will happen. So we are supporting our customers for the generation assets on gas. And eventually these assets will come to like hydrogen or ammonia or carbon capture.
แม้ทั่วโลกจะตื่นเต้นกับ AI แต่ศูนย์ข้อมูลหรือ Data Center ที่เป็นหัวใจของเทคโนโลยีนี้กลับใช้พลังงานมหาศาลและผ่านน้ำปริมาณหลายล้านลิตรต่อวันในการระบายความร้อนกลายเป็นประเด็นที่ทั่วโลกจับตาอย่างจริงจังข้อมูลของ Pew Research และ IEA ระบุว่าในปี 2024 ศูนย์ข้อมูลในสหรัฐใช้ไฟฟ้ามากกว่า 4% ของทั้งประเทศและตัวเลขนี้อาจจะเพิ่มเป็น 9% ภายในปี 2030 ขณะเดียวกัน Bloomberg รายงานว่ากว่า 2 ใน 3 ของศูนย์ข้อมูลแห่งใหม่ในสหรัฐสร้างขึ้นในพื้นที่ที่ประสบปัญหาขาดแคลนน้ำอยู่แล้วในระดับโลกพบว่าศูนย์ข้อมูลใช้น้ำรวมกันราว 560,000 ล้านลิตรต่อปีและมีแนวโน้มจะเพิ่มขึ้นเป็นกว่า 1,200 ล้านลิตรภายในปี 2030 โจทย์ต่อไปก็คือโลกจะต้องจัดการทรัพยากรอย่างไรเพื่อรองรับการเติบโตของ AI ที่สวนทางกับเป้าหมาย Zero Emission Talking about electricity power consumption in Thailand obviously we consume a lot from individual consumer and the country is also moving toward digitalization and also we like to move toward AI opportunities but how can Thailand balance all this infrastructure in terms of the demand for energy and the cost of energy?
Well, I think AI energy demand could not have been forecasted by almost any country 3 to 5 years ago. People did not plan for this huge energy consumption due to the AI technology. That is the same in the US, it is the same in other countries, and in the ASEAN market also. Now the demand growth is partially driven by AI and digitalization. So we must be flexible to respond to such market that there is certain demand growth that was not forecasted, and renewables and together with other generation assets, it can be supported. And I think it's mandatory to support the digitalization and the AI demand because people want to use it. People will definitely be using much more AI technology month by month, year by year. It's just going to keep on growing. So we do expect that the energy demand will also grow, and there will be investments towards generation assets.
So what should be the way out between keeping high demand of AI, because Thailand also aim at attracting more investment in data center, which mean more demand for energy. But at the same time, the cost must be quite high. What should Thailand do more in terms of adjusting infrastructure?
Well, again, when you talk about the cost, I think Thailand has a relatively good balance between like hydro and gas and some other generation assets. So investment itself, I think, will continue, and meeting the AI demand is not a big challenge. It's continuing your investments that you've been doing before, which will keep the electricity cost to a certain reasonable level. The challenge again is when you invest into the energy transition equipment, like maybe carbon capture or maybe hydrogen infrastructure or other ways to decarbonize the assets. That's when the cost gets increased. So that you will have to balance between the energy growth and the economic growth versus the energy transition investments. I think it's step by step. It's not just like today or tomorrow, but over the decades, I think slowly moving towards the energy transition and balancing between the economic growth.
You mentioned that it quite beyond expectation to see AI growth at this certain juncture, but at the same time, AI is very essential. From your perspective, what should be the way of balancing between AI growth and energy transition?
Well, still AI is a technology that cannot be fully forecasted because we do not know if there's going to be more innovation in this technology, much different approaches, or the energy consumption by AI could change. Today, people say AI consumes 10 times more than just a simple Google search that we used to do before, but that could also be more progressed, and such energy consumption could become more efficient in the future. So it's a little bit difficult to say exactly how this AI is going to affect us. There could be a lot of technical innovations to change the electricity consumptions. I think we'll have to see it for another couple of years how this AI is going to work out.
So does that mean any country which has very much capacity to supply power will win over in AI game in the near future?
I think that's a good point because the hyperscalers obviously invest their data centers to countries that have low cost of energy and that have the infrastructure to support, like water or other ways. So that's a very important point that you have the energy supply, the electricity supply, the cooling systems that can support the investments by the hyperscalers.
What's the scenario for the whole world in terms of decarbonization to cope with climate change or the problem about the energy supply and to grow with AI direction? Because we cannot deny how AI is booming around the world.
Energy transition is still a key word, but the urgent investments today is to secure that energy itself. So hydrogen or carbon capture would be a little bit more in the future, but today we see in the global trend that actual generation assets are getting invested.
อีกด้านหนึ่งประชาชนคนไทยยังเผชิญกับปัญหาค่าไฟแพงอย่างต่อเนื่องค่ะ โดยข้อมูลจากสภาผู้บริโภคชี้ว่าไทยนำเข้าพลังงานเพิ่มขึ้นจาก 2.7% ของ GDP ในปี 2536 เป็น 10% ในปี 2566 ขณะที่ความสามารถพึ่งพาตนเองด้านพลังงานลดลงอย่างต่อเนื่องส่งผลให้ภาระค่าใช้จ่ายของครัวเรือนสูงขึ้นอย่างชัดเจนไทยยังพึ่งพาไฟฟ้าจากโรงไฟฟ้าเอกชนจำนวนมากภายใต้สัญญาระยะยาวที่ล็อกราคาไว้สูงทำให้ต้นทุนไฟฟ้าไม่ลดลงตามต้นทุนพลังงานหมุนเวียนโลกที่ถูกลงเรื่อยๆขณะเดียวกันโครงการรับซื้อไฟฟ้าหมุนเวียนรอบใหม่ยังถูกตั้งคำถามว่าตั้งราคารับซื้อสูงกว่าตลาดโลกเกือบ2เท่าทำให้ประชาชนยังต้องแบกรับต้นทุนค่าไฟที่สูงเกินจริงถึงแม้ไทยกำลังก้าวสู่พลังงานสะอาดก็ตาม How do you see the issue of energy security among many countries in Southeast Asia like Thailand, Singapore, Malaysia because these countries are also trying to develop quite fast economically.
Yes.
So what's the challenge of energy transition for the region?
Well, the challenge again is the balance between economic growth and energy transition or decarbonization. So achieving both at the same time is challenging, but you will have to work in parallel. You don't want to stop the economical growth, but you don't want to stop the energy transition either. Energy transition will have some costs associated with it. So either there may be some government subsidies or maybe increase in tariff, but overall there will be certain costs that will be affected due to moving towards energy transition or decarbonization. But at the same time, you don't want to slow down your economical growth. So the challenge is keeping the right balance between the two. But we are seeing today, like in Singapore, Thailand, Malaysia, projects are actually happening. Like very high efficient, 64% thermal efficiency gas turbine combined cycles are getting built in Malaysia, Singapore, and even Thailand. We just finished a large 10-unit gas turbine combined cycle plant in 3 sites this January. We successfully finished, which is about 7 gigawatts of power altogether. And Thailand is about 50 gigawatt market. So you can understand what impact there is. 7 gigawatts of very high efficient power plant coming into operation for this country.
Your gas turbine is 64% efficiency. In more simpler term, can you explain to Thai audience what does it mean and what's the implication for Thai energy?
If this was a conventional power plant, like the plants built in the 80s or 90s with a boiler and a steam turbine, this was about 40. So you have 100 energy in, 40 electricity out. So you can understand today, before it was 40 electricity out, today 64 electricity out. That's what it means by 64% thermal efficiency, which is about more than 1.5 times more efficient than the conventional way of generation.
And how does gas turbine fit in with the energy transition?
Gas turbine actually fits greatly into energy transition. The reason is today you can invest in gas turbine that are consuming LNG or natural gas, and in future you can switch very easily to like hydrogen co-firing or maybe even future 100% hydrogen firing just by changing the combustion system. You do not have to change the whole turbine, but just the combustion part to modify it into a hydrogen gas turbine. Also, for the countries where hydrogen will not be available, you could put a carbon capture system after the combustion to capture the carbon. So it is a very low risk for gas turbines to become a stranded asset in the future. And that's how gas turbines fit perfectly into the energy transition world.
You must have studied about Thai energy sector quite very much in detail. So can you tell us about the proportion of energy consumption or energy supply in Thailand at the moment and in which part that we need to increase the capacity?
Well, Thailand has of course announced its goals by 2037, more than 50% of renewable energy, which is a very, very ambitious target, but achievable. But the grid obviously cannot be supported just by renewables, because if you apply solar and wind, sometimes the wind doesn't blow or sometimes the sun doesn't shine. But obviously people will put lights on even if the sun is not shining or if the wind is not blowing, people do consume electricity. That's where gas turbines fit, together combining with renewables and gas turbine. that gas turbines can do stable operation. So always go into operation 8,000 hours, 8,760 hours per year to support the grid. But at the same time, you can decarbonize your grid by increasing your renewables. So the goal for Thailand by 2037, I think is a very, very ambitious but very good goal set to achieve decarbonization.
What should Thailand do more in terms of achieving that goal? Invest more in turbine infrastructure, in renewable infrastructure. What's your take?
Well, I think Thailand is going through a very good path. We have more than 6 decades of relationship with the Thai industry for generation. And there has been huge investments towards gas plants, even in the past decade, 2 decades. So I think that will continue, which is a good path. And then towards renewables. I think renewable resources are relatively limited, but rooftop solars or solar mega plants, such kind of investments will probably start to move forward in the near future.
What's your vision toward hydrogen in the future for energy?
So technology-wise, we are continuing investments to develop the hydrogen co-firing gas turbine, and the combustion system is under development. The biggest challenge is the supply chain. How can we together create the supply chain that will lower the cost for hydrogen, and especially green hydrogen or blue hydrogen? To lower the cost is the challenge that we have to work together. We'll probably start with government subsidies and involvement by the governments to support feasible fuel source of hydrogen. But when the supply chain is created, I think the price will start to come down. And then eventually it would become the main source for generation.
What kind of investment does the country need to support green hydrogen?
Of course, hydrogen is production, storage, and utilization. So there's basically 3 stages of hydrogen. You have to produce it, you have to store it, and then the industrial zone that will be using it. So you already have the power plants that can use hydrogen. The investments are towards production and storage. So that's the part that will be needing certain government support to produce and store the hydrogen.
You mentioned that we should have the proper supply chain to support green hydrogen as well. Can you explain to me more about it?
Well, this cannot be done by one country. It has to be done by multiple countries in collaboration. Not one company or one country can do this, but like in the Asian region, together with countries like Japan and Korea, and of course the Asian countries, we have to collaborate to make that supply chain, to generate the volume, not just one country, but the whole region, or maybe even a global level, to create the volume of the consumption so that the cost will come down. And that's something that we have to work together on between the countries.
What's the timeline do you see in terms of developing more infrastructure to support hydrogen, green hydrogen?
A lot of countries and companies are declaring 2050, but like net zero or carbon neutrality by 2050. So if we back calculate it from 2050, that is 25 years from now. It sounds long, but it's actually not that long. To generate and create a supply chain, it's going to be the challenge in this 25 years that by 2050, we have certain sufficient supply chain to support the decarbonizing economy.
For Thailand, we aim at achieving carbon neutrality in 2050. So from your perspective, what should the country do step by step from now until then?
And the design is depending country by country, it's different. In case of Thailand, I understand that the wind resource is not large. Wind energy resource is not that large. You have rooftop panels and solar panel resources, but that's one aspect of renewable energy. Also, hydro turbines. Hydro energy is also one source of clean energy. And then converting you have a large fleet of gas turbine plants, and in future investing towards hydrogen or carbon capture is probably the path for Thailand.
How do you see the cost of energy in Thailand, and what's the factor contributing to it? Do you see any opportunity or challenges for Japanese company investing in Thailand regarding energy?
Long time, I think Thailand has been a very attractive market for Japanese companies. For the automobile industry, a lot of investments came from Japan to Thailand. The working environments or the risks associated, I think it's a very, very attractive market for many Japanese companies, and that's why there has been so much investments in the past. I think it will continue in certain ratio, and from a Mitsubishi point of view, we have also invested into Thailand in many different approaches. But for the coming future, we are making sure that we can support the energy sector with our technologies to keep Thailand in a competitive level with our equipment and technology.
What do you see in the next 5 to 10 years in terms of energy security in this region and for Thailand?
For the coming 5 to 10 years, investments will continue towards gas and renewables. We see that happening in Vietnam. We will see certain projects happening in Indonesia. Thailand has just finished a large project in Thailand. So 5 to 10 years in the time frame, I think investment towards renewable and gas is the right choice for almost all ASEAN countries.
And what kind of infrastructure that the country should be prepared to have?
Well, Thailand has a great infrastructure in terms of gas supply systems. Grid systems will need to be invested to make sure that the power plants can operate properly. So investments towards generation and investment towards transmission and distribution will have to move in parallel.
จากบทสนทนาในวันนี้ก็ทำให้ได้เห็นแล้วนะคะว่าการเติบโตของ AI เป็นเรื่องที่เหนือความคาดหมายสำหรับวงการพลังงานแต่อีกด้านหนึ่งก็เท่ากับเป็นความท้าทายที่แต่ละประเทศจะต้องวางแผนเพื่อรับมือสร้างโครงสร้างพื้นฐานและสร้างพลังงานเพื่อให้ตอบรับกับการพัฒนาอุตสาหกรรมไปสู่ระบบดิจิทัลให้มากขึ้นแต่โดยรวมทั้งโลกก็จะต้องไม่ลืมโจทย์เรื่องการพัฒนาอย่างยั่งยืนและการใช้พลังงานที่เป็นมิตรกับสิ่งแวดล้อมค่ะทั้งหมดก็คือ The World Dialogue สำหรับวันนี้ดิฉันณัฐฐา โกมลวาทินสวัสดีค่ะ